Hey, Trojan family, what's going on? Welcome back to the USC LAFB show here on the LAFB network. I'm your host, Ryan Dyrud. Hope everyone is doing well out there. Quick update for you all. USC did gain a commitment. I know we said they were done in the transfer portal. Obviously, that was for kind of the I don't mean this disrespectfully, but the higher tier additions. They're now looking at more of the kind of depth special teamers and priority walk-ons that may not be scholarship offers necessarily, and certainly will not be kind of in that NIL ilk, if you will. But they did gain a commitment just this week, and they had a visitor as well, both of the linebacker caliber, which I know, maybe the tier of player won't excite people, but the position I think will excite people because everyone's just been asking for more linebackers. And hey, technically, now we have it. So just this week, gained the commitment of linebacker Luca Torti. He is originally a SoCal kid, grew up in Carlsbad, California, went to Santa Fe Christian schools in Solano Beach, California. Beautiful Solano Beach, right by Pizza Port's down there. Can't beat that area. Pretty awesome place, but ended up going the D3 route and went to Wheaton College out in Illinois. Had a very successful career at Wheaton. Last season in 2025, he finished with 84 total tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 5 passes defensed, and 3 forced fumbles. So a really solid statistical season. Now, he is not a massive linebacker. I've talked to you guys many times about the flavor profile that USC is looking for is in that 330 or heavier range, 6 foot plus, not 330, 230. That would be not a linebacker if you're at 330, 6 foot plus in the 230 range. And he is definitely substantially smaller, standing, around 6'1". So good height, but more in the 205 to 210 range. So certainly we saw USC move on from backers for that size. And so this tells me 2 things. One, I think this is purely a kind of depth special teamer. He's a really solid tackler, really aggressive, plays, I think, bigger than he is. However, that is at the D3 level, so we'll see how that would translate to not only D1 play, but Big Ten play. But I think on special teams, he can certainly be a gunner with that speed and that size and his tackling ability, just sure tackling. And this could have actually been a move more from Mike Eckler. Once Mike Eckler got to USC, got to the staff as he is the special teams coordinator, and he kind of saw this kid in the portal and say, hey, that's a great kid for my kickoff team, for my punt team that can really help buckle down our operations and make sure we're not giving up any of those returns against teams like Notre Dame. So this feels more like that. Defensively, he'll probably play more. He was an outside backer at Wheaton, so he could probably be more of a depth piece in that 4-2-5 system. I mean, obviously not a true down edge player in that 4-2-5 system, doesn't have the size when you're looking at Cam Crawford and these guys in the 250 260 range, plus 6'4", 6'5", and he's obviously much smaller than that, but as a depth piece and a guy that could come in on certain situations, which we likely will not see, but that's where I would slot him defensively. But to me, this is much more purely as a special teams player. And hey, if it was Mike Eckler's call, seeing what he did at Nebraska, that's a guy you're going to trust to go and get the right players to fill out your special teams. Remember, someone like, some of the guys that they lost in the portal or just simply moved on from, guys like Matai Tagovailoa, guys like AJ Tuitele, like they may have not seen the starting role for them on defense, which is ultimately why those guys decided to hit the portal and find other homes as they saw they had starting caliber, but they were really good special teams contributors. So that was absolutely a loss, losing those. So Tagovailoa never maybe saw fit as a Big Ten backer in their system, but he was certainly a starter on special teams and a good one at that. He had a lot of tackles on that kickoff team coming down. So someone like this new addition in Torti, I think they can certainly utilize in that scenario. So, hey, special teams, USC, you could argue, lost for sure one game, maybe two. There's a lot of other plays they could have had, but how different would that Notre Dame game have looked? How different would that Oregon game have looked had they not given up touchdowns on special teams and other critical mistakes, in both of those being 10-point losses, or Notre Dame 10-point, Oregon a little bit more, ran away at the end there a little bit. But hey, if special teams is shored up, that can change things. That can swing games. Tim and I talked about it last week on the show when talking about Mike Eckler. We've had, I feel like these, in the Lincoln Riley era, it went from like bad special teams to, hey, let's just like, if we don't have to talk about special teams, that's a good thing. Like, let's just have them be there and not cost us games, to now with hopefully Eckler being like, hey, can special teams become a weapon and an actual facet and an asset in all three phases of the game, and, in the return game, and also flipping field position and whatnot. So I think Torti can actually be that. Maybe I'm hyping up too much, but to me, that was where this addition came from, a true guy that can compete for special teams. Another visitor they had that is probably in the same capacity, we'll see if he actually ultimately commits. He's been offered, other priority walk-ons. I think he's setting up an official visit with Clemson, who offered him a priority walk-on. So I'm sure USC is in the same non-scholarship but priority walk-on capacity here. But Ryan O'Connell, linebacker from the University of Pennsylvania, so an Ivy Leaguer. Anytime you can go get an Ivy Leaguer, I'm always for it. Those guys are going to be super smart. They're going to have a high football IQ, probably just not quite have the physical attributes of some of the other D1 players, but mentally they're going to be up to the task. And so Ryan O'Connell visited USC, talked about or tweeted about his visit just on the 29th, so just yesterday. And this is definitely a bigger body guy when you talk about linebackers, 6'2", 225, 230. He will be a grad transfer, so graduated from the University of Pennsylvania, Wharton School of Business, finance major. So, one of those guys that, hey, come to USC, play special teams for a year, and then end up in, real estate or, on the finance sector for some big company out here in Los Angeles. And, he'll have that USC jersey in his office that we'll see that, he spent a year here and contributed in some ways. So, but yeah, he's a pretty high priority walk-on for a lot of schools around Auburn, Northwestern, Duke, Minnesota, and like I mentioned, Clemson. So, certainly a solid player. Career stats, 43 total tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and a pass breakup. Last year, he had 27 tackles and had those 2 tackles for loss and had the 2 sacks that season. So definitely his best year and most productive season, coming in his final season at Penn. So this we'll see what this ends up happening. Again, another depth piece, another probably special teams type player that could come in. But especially if it's a priority walk-on, not going to go against your scholarship capacity. But as we've said, after the portal, they were sitting at, I believe I had them at 91, 92. So you still have kind of 3 to 4 scholarships, some wiggle room for this. If they decide to go back in the portal, which it doesn't seem like they will, but maybe with Gary Patterson officially on board, maybe they will. But also that late spring, or not really spring, but February signing period for the 26 class, if they add, like a Jaden Ramos or an AJ Tuatele like they did last year, you have some scholarship flexibility there. So, latest update there. There you go. 2 backers, 1 signed, 1 visited, quality depth piece, and certainly quality potential special team players on Saturday. Hit that like and subscribe button here at the USC LAFB. Like I said, I'm going to be on as much as possible. I'm out here in Colorado, sister's wedding, which is taking place on Sunday. But, we got the whole weekend festivities. Got the bachelor party tonight with my future brother-in-law. Got tomorrow rehearsal and rehearsal dinner, and then Sunday the big day. So I know it's junior day tomorrow, so I'll be on as much as I can when I can with any information on that. I know there's been a little bit of concern from fans about some players that were originally scheduled to be there that now have decided to take visits elsewhere. So I will talk about that and kind of the, if you will, trickle-down effect of what that could have. So keep it right here, USC LAFB. Appreciate you, family, as always. Fight on. Hey, Trojan family, thank you so much for hanging out and watching the USC LAFB show. Before you go, let me tell you quickly about our friends over at Sleeper. Go right now, download the Sleeper app. It's the #1 sports app, not just for season-long fantasy, but they've got live pickers, they've got live stat updates, they've got a chat. You can chat with other users, plus the daily pick'em, which is a blast, or daily fantasy, whatever you want to call it. You go and pick 2 to 8 players across any sports. If you're talking USC, go choose J.D. Mayav in his next matchup. Pick more or less passing yards, more or less touchdowns. You stack those, and you can win real money. When you go to make your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code USC LAFB. You're going to get a match deposit up to $100. Put in $100, you get $100 free to play with from Sleeper. Put in $10, they'll match you that $10. So now you're sitting at $20 to play with. But also right now, for any new users, no deposit required. You get $20 free entry. You can stack both. You can get the $20 for free. Go make a deposit. Use USC LAFB. And now you've got a bunch of free money to play with right there on the Sleeper app. Check it out, Trojan family. And when you do, tell them the guys at the USC LAFB sent you.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.